Hello, I'm Laura Painter. You're watching an ABC10 Plus recap of Tuesday's top stories. Thousands of low-income seniors and disabled Californians could lose Medi-Cal under Governor Gavin Newsom's May budget proposal. Advocates urge lawmakers to reject the change. Then, an alert now after several cases of the highly contagious whooping cough are reported on the UC Davis campus. The ABC10 Plus recap starts right now.
Tens of thousands of low-income seniors and Californians with disabilities could lose Medi-Cal coverage due to a proposal in Governor Gavin Newsom's budget revision. ABC10's Becca Habegger joins us in studio to explain what's really at stake. And Becca, you caught up with advocates just this week who are really urging lawmakers to reject this proposal.
Yeah, Alex, Governor Newsom wants to reinstate something called the asset test to determine eligibility for Medi-Cal and in-home supportive services for low-income seniors and Californians with disabilities. Now, disability rights advocates say this came as a shock last week, and now they're scrambling to advocate for their health care coverage.
Elizabeth Gesamburu of Stanislaus County is talking with lawmakers this week.
I stopped into Joe Patterson's office, Don Addis's office.
She's advocating for herself and all Californians with disabilities who are on the Medi-Cal and in-home supportive services or IHSS programs, asking legislators to reject a provision in the state's budget proposal.
They don't want to see a step backward either, so that is encouraging.
She's talking about a cost-cutting proposal Governor Gavin Newsom unveiled last week in his May revision of the budget. It would reinstate something called the asset test.
It kept us in poverty. It kept us as second-class citizens.
For decades, a single person couldn't have more than $2,000 in assets. For a couple, the limit was $3,000. That limit did not include the value of a primary home, vehicle, or retirement fund, but did include things like a regular savings account, cash, and a second vehicle. Starting in 2024, the asset test was eliminated, and more than 100,000 newly eligible seniors and Californians with disabilities enrolled in Medi-Cal.
It was such a step forward for us to get rid of that asset test, and now to see it in the budget revision is heartbreaking. It's terrifying that we would be taking a step back in disability rights.
Governor Newsom argues the influx of enrollees cost the state more money than anticipated. His revised budget says reinstating the asset test for both Medi-Cal and IHSS eligibility would provide estimated general fund savings of $94 million this coming fiscal year, $540 million the next, and $791 million annually thereafter.
It's unjust and it's cruel.
Advocate Julia Feinberg lives in Oakland and says returning to that strict test is unrealistic.
If I get $1 over $2,000, I lose everything. And it is incredibly challenging to get that back. And in the meantime, I have to pay out of pocket for the caregivers that were taken away from me. So I'm going to go into debt because I wasn't allowed to save.
Mohammed Rashid of Modesto says the proposal threatens his health care too.
I'm feeling anxious and stressed out.
At an Assembly subcommittee hearing Monday, members questioned the director of the state's Department of Health Care Services.
Where are people going to go when they no longer qualify and can't afford this care on their own?
Individuals would lose access to Medi-Cal and would have to find other means to support the needs that they might have.
I think this is going to lead to more homelessness of seniors and the disabled, and that's what's going to happen, and that will cost our state money too.
In response, the governor's office tells ABC10, in part, under Governor Newsom's leadership, California became the first state to offer full-scope Medi-Cal to all low-income adults. But because of the $16 billion Trump slump and higher-than-expected health care utilization, the state must take difficult but necessary steps to ensure fiscal stability and preserve the long-term viability of Medi-Cal for all Californians. We will continue to work with the legislature to review budget alternatives that achieve a balanced budget for both this year and in the future.
The change would go into effect starting next year. Now, advocates have less than a month to convince state lawmakers. The legislature is required to pass a finalized budget by June 15th. Alex?
All right, Becca, thank you. And Governor Newsom has proposed two other possible cuts to Medi-Cal in the budget. One would stop enrolling low-income immigrants without legal status starting in 2026 and begin charging those already enrolled a monthly premium the following year. Another proposal would redirect $1.6 billion from Prop 35 to help offset the state's budget shortfall. Voters approved Prop 35 in November with the promise of increasing Medi-Cal doctors' pay and also reproductive care.
First at 5, whooping cough is making a comeback around the country, and public health officials in Northern California are on alert.
Yeah, ABC 10's Luke Clary is live in the studio tonight with more.
Chris, Laura, the Centers for Disease Control reports 590 cases of whooping cough in California so far this year. That's more than we saw in all of 2024. So I talked to Dr. Dean Blumberg at UC Davis's Children's Hospital.
Whooping cough cases are running at about twice the rate of last year in California, according to Dr. Dean Blumberg at UC Davis Children's Hospital.
So what is it that's going on right now that we're seeing such a spike in cases around the country and here in the state of California?
We're certainly seeing more cases in California. Part of this is probably related to a hangover from COVID, from all the lockdowns, which really affected transmission of a lot of community-associated diseases. And then we had a buildup of susceptible people.
Infants are particularly vulnerable to the bacterial infection, also known as pertussis.
Why is it so dangerous?
For the youngest infants with severe disease, they may keep coughing until they stop breathing. So they may need to be in the hospital, in the ICU, and monitored, sometimes on a respirator.
The Sacramento County Public Health Department reports more than 70 cases so far this year in the county, more than all of 2024. And on the UC Davis campus, Yolo County health officials reported 4 cases of whooping cough among college students.
So this raises a question, I think, in a lot of people's minds. Are college students at risk as well?
Yeah, college students are at risk because generally the last time that they're going to have been vaccinated for whooping cough would be at 11 to 12 years of age. And then the vaccine-induced immunity only lasts about 3 to 5 years. So it wears off, and then they're susceptible again.
Vaccination is key, Dr. Blumberg says, to protecting both adults and children.
For those who are most vulnerable to severe disease, those who are around infants or have infants, that they're the ones really we want to make sure that they're up to date with their vaccinations, that they're protected, that they don't then increase the risk of transmission to those young infants, and make sure your young infants are up to date with their routine vaccines.
And speaking of vaccines, whooping cough is covered by the Tdap vaccine. The P in Tdap stands for pertussis. We have our entire interview with Dr. Blumberg on the ABC 10 Plus streaming app. Laura.
Oh, it was day 2 of the trial of former Major League Baseball player Daniel Saraphini. We saw evidence and heard witness testimony in the case today.
The 51-year-old is accused of murdering his 70-year-old father-in-law, Gary Spoor, and the attempted murder of his wife, Wendy Wood, in their home in Homewood in 2021. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias has the latest on the testimony given at the Auburn Historic Courthouse.
Chris and Laura, at least 5 witnesses took the stand today. They included officials who responded to the scene after the shooting that happened back in June of 2021. They described the bloody aftermath and their attempts to save the couple's lives. On day 2 of his trial, no cameras were allowed as a suited Daniel Saraphini attentively listened to testimony given by multiple witnesses. Captain Gary Nelson with the North Tahoe Fire Protection District was the first to take the stand Tuesday morning. He was one of the first on the scene when Gary Spoor and Wendy Woods were shot inside their home off Westlake Boulevard in Homewood. After entering the home, the captain says he went upstairs to find a man in the living room area. And after attempting CPR, he noticed there was a small pool of blood coming out of the back of his head. The prosecution showed him and the jurors a photo of the back of Spoor's head with the gunshot wound. Captain Nelson then mentioned that it was a trail of blood that led him to look for another victim in the house. That's when he found a bloody Wendy Woods in the master bathroom. Third witness, Placer County Sheriff's Deputy Jacob Terabitz, testified he checked all the rooms and closets in the house to see if anyone else was in the home. He also said he noticed some shell casings, the first one behind the couch that looked to belong to a .22 caliber. 2 more witnesses took the stand, including an evidence technician who revealed for the first time that a drop of blood was found in the garage after the cars were removed. Each witness was also asked if they remembered a bag of dog food near the kitchen area upstairs, and whether or not it was opened, and if there was kibble on the floor. But its significance has yet to be discussed. Jurors will have the day off on Wednesday, but will return back here on Thursday and Friday at 8:30 in the morning to hear more testimony. In Auburn, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
Oh, it was day 2 of the trial of former Major League Baseball player Daniel Saraphini. We saw evidence and heard witness testimony in the case today.
The 51-year-old is accused of murdering his 70-year-old father-in-law, Gary Spoor, and the attempted murder of his wife, Wendy Wood, in their home in Homewood in 2021. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias has the latest on the testimony given at the Auburn Historic Courthouse.
Chris and Laura, at least 5 witnesses took the stand today. They included officials who responded to the scene after the shooting that happened back in June of 2021. They described the bloody aftermath and their attempts to save the couple's lives. On day 2 of his trial, no cameras were allowed as a suited Daniel Saraphini attentively listened to testimony given by multiple witnesses. Captain Gary Nelson with the North Tahoe Fire Protection District was the first to take the stand Tuesday morning. He was one of the first on the scene when Gary Spoor and Wendy Woods were shot inside their home off Westlake Boulevard in Homewood. After entering the home, the captain says he went upstairs to find a man in the living room area. And after attempting CPR, he noticed there was a small pool of blood coming out of the back of his head. The prosecution showed him and the jurors a photo of the back of Spoor's head with the gunshot wound. Captain Nelson then mentioned that it was a trail of blood that led him to look for another victim in the house. That's when he found a bloody Wendy Woods in the master bathroom. Third witness, Placer County Sheriff's Deputy Jacob Terabitz, testified he checked all the rooms and closets in the house to see if anyone else was in the home. He also said he noticed some shell casings, the first one behind the couch that looked to belong to a .22 caliber. 2 more witnesses took the stand, including an evidence technician who revealed for the first time that a drop of blood was found in the garage after the cars were removed. Each witness was also asked if they remembered a bag of dog food near the kitchen area upstairs, and whether or not it was opened, and if there was kibble on the floor. But its significance has yet to be discussed. Jurors will have the day off on Wednesday, but will return back here on Thursday and Friday at 8:30 in the morning to hear more testimony. In Auburn, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
Roxanne, thank you. In Yolo County, the trial against David's stabbing suspect, Carlos Dominguez, continued today. His ex-girlfriend was on the stand again today. She said she doesn't recall any violence towards her from Carlos, but he became very jealous of anyone she spoke to. And she said he did have a temper. His friend and former UC Davis roommate also testified. He recalled seeing Carlos bang on the door and leave 5 holes in the door while talking to himself. He said he eventually became uncomfortable around Carlos and moved out. The trial continues tomorrow. More than 30 million Americans are now on alert for severe weather today, and parts of the nation already hit hard in recent days. 28 deaths have been confirmed, and overnight, tornadoes touched down in Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Colorado. Of course, the challenges we've been dealing with is the new fire danger we had just yesterday. How are things looking today, Brendan?
Yeah, all eyes on that forecast as we're inching closer and closer to the big holiday weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Fire danger is going up partly just because it's warm, it's dry. We haven't had significant rain in a while. But the holiday weekend overall is looking pretty nice. In fact, it should be just a little bit warmer than normal. Sometimes the Memorial Day weekend can be pretty cool. Sometimes it can be pretty warm. We're kind of in that transition period where, we still have those fluctuations. This upcoming weekend is looking pretty nice. We'll talk more about that in a second. So far, we've made it to 89 in Sacramento, 91 in Stockton, 87 Modesto, 87 in Vacaville and Fairfield, 82 in Jackson, 79 in Auburn, 70 in Truckee, and 69 up in South Lake Tahoe. We're still running right near those upper 80s and low 90s across the valley. We haven't quite seen the temperature dip just yet. 89 in Sacramento, 89 in Stockton at the moment, 90 in Manteca, 86 Modesto, 86 in Tracy, 85 in Fairfield and Vacaville, 84 in Colusa, 70s and 80s 60s in the foothills and near 70 in the high country. We are starting to see some of that delta breeze developing, and that will help to cool things down as per usual as we go through the evening. So the A's are at home tonight playing against the Angels, about 85 degrees at first pitch, 80 degrees by 8 o'clock, and towards the end of the game will be in those low 70s across the valley and a little breezy throughout the game because of that delta breeze. To start Wednesday, we are going to be in those low to mid 50s across much of the valley. Average lows 53, so about where we should be for the time of year, but a clear and mild start across Northern California. Tomorrow, though, is going to be hot, hotter than where we were today. I've got 70s by 10 o'clock, mid 80s by lunchtime, and that's how you know it will be a warm day. Low to mid 90s across the valley. The average high is 82. I've got 93 for a forecast high tomorrow, and the hottest we've been so far this year in Sacramento is 94. So it could be one of the warmest days of the year, if not tying the warmest day so far this year. 93 in Sacramento, the forecast high tomorrow. 93 in Elk Grove and Stockton. 94 Manteca. 93 Modesto. 93 Tracy. 90 Vacaville and Fairfield. 96 up in Colusa. 80s in the foothills. 72 in Truckee and 70 in South Lake Tahoe. A hot afternoon. As we go back to this evening, there's that breeze that develops. It does kind of taper through the overnight, and we'll have a little bit of a period here with some northerly winds down the valley to start Wednesday, but then a stronger delta breeze tomorrow. So it'll be hotter in the afternoon, but that breeze should be nicer tomorrow evening. Let's look at the weather pattern. This tells the story of this weekend. A little bit of a passing system to our north by Friday will cool us off into those low 80s to start the long holiday weekend. Neither high nor low pressure really dominates through Saturday and Sunday, so it should be fairly seasonal. But next week, look how this high pressure builds in, and the heat is going to come with it, especially by the time we get towards Thursday and Friday of next week. So right at the very end of May, we are going to be looking at some very warm temperatures. There's still time for things to change because we're talking about 10, 11 days from now. So keep that in mind. But as we look at the next 7 days, you see that little dip headed into the weekend, seasonal as we go through the weekend. And then there's day 9 and 10, 95, 100. First time I got triple digits on the 10-day. High heat is likely. Again, time for that to change, but definitely the season is changing.
Yeah, and a reminder, if you are going to be doing that mowing, do it earlier in the morning when it's
Absolutely.
cool.
Yep.
Well, the unofficial start of summer is upon us, huh?
And then summer's very much just around the corner.
Okay, Brendan, thank you.
Hi, my name's Nikki Abaletta, and my pronouns are they, she. I'm a co-founder of Sacramento Filipinx LGBTQIA, and I'm also a psychotherapist at Sweet Mango Therapy Group. Growing up for me in South Sacramento and Elk Grove was bittersweet. I was taught that being LGBTQIA is a sin. So that itself created a lot of internal conflicts for my childhood. I ended up coming out shortly after I turned 18. That led me to a lot of the work that I'm doing now. SacPhil is a grassroots collective that is there to uplift the identities of LGBTQIA Filipinx diaspora. So we really emphasize and focus on community building through working with other organizations and movements that align with ours. My background as a community organizer has really complemented my experiences as a therapist. Mango Therapy focuses on the mental health and wellness of our Filipinx community. I really love working with LGBTQ community members, especially Filipinx people. That's where my passion really lies. Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month to me means embracing all the different intersections of our identities and also acknowledging the histories of the people who came before us.
Big things happening here on the campus of Sacramento State University. As a matter of fact, I'm standing right in front of what will be the main entrance for the new state-of-the-art event center here, also known as the Well. Enough of me talking about it. Let's see what this place is going to look like. As you can see, a lot of construction still going on inside of here. Now, this place is going to seat roughly 3,200 loud, screaming fans. Let me show you what everyone is buzzing about.
We are excited about the opportunity. This will be one of the premier venues here on the West Coast.
Welcome to the Well Event Center and Recreation Conversion
also known as the new home for the Sac State men's and women's basketball teams. And best believe it's coming with all the new bells and whistles.
So you'll have LED tables on the floor, you'll have ribbon board up top, you have 2 large video boards on each ends, and then obviously a ribbon board on above the student section as well. So be lots of ribbon boards, lots of flashing lights, lots of excitement.
And new head men's basketball coach Mike Bibby definitely approves of the new facility.
I told Mark we might need more seats. It's gonna be fun, you know. I'm gonna try to get everybody out to these games, you know, change the culture here, take it to a winning culture, and just, you know, try to change the mindset of Sacramento State.
The one thing about this facility, it's sure to provide home court advantage.
Crowds on you, they're jumping on you, there's no space to move, they're taking the ball to bounce, and they're within an inch of, you know, our fan base.
And even though this facility is still under construction, Bibby is already thinking about hanging some championship banners in the rafters.
You know, I want to win the conference, I want to win the championship, I want to go to the NCAA tournament.
So construction is set to be complete this summer and will open just in time for the men's and women's basketball seasons. At Sacramento State, Kevin John, ABC10 Sports.
So this weekend, Tom Cruise fans get another thrilling adventure sent to them.
That's right. That's because we are talking about the new installment of Mission Impossible. So Marcus Allen is joining us live in studio to tell us all about it. So Mark, why should people go watch this movie?
I guess because about a year ago, Paramount renamed it The Final Reckoning, which blows my mind because the last movie is literally called Dead Reckoning Part 1. What happened to Part 2? I guess it's this, The Final Reckoning. This is going to be the final movie, so says the title. Regardless, it's epic. It is a must-see on the biggest screen possible, opening Thursday, IMAX, everywhere else on Friday. I had a chance to chat with Tom Cruise through the years about this, even once I'm doing a stunt with him, and especially proud of his stunts in this movie. Take a look. Having chased you around in Sevilla, Spain that one time on a motorcycle.
That was a lot of fun.
Tired of it? Never. That is awesome. But I happen to notice you did that all day long and you were having as much fun at the end. So when everybody's making a big deal of you doing your own stunts in the movies like this, I think you dream of something you want to do and you write it into a movie.
That's exactly it. I train, whether it's dancing or singing or, you know, we're constantly, you know, building on different skill sets and then putting it in films.
And when you watch it, is there any part of you that can step out of all of the technique and look at it the way we do and just say, that's a beautiful frame, that's a good shot?
There's some times when I'm looking at it, you know, I can't really have the full impact, obviously, that you're having, but when we're looking at it, and I'm constantly thinking, is it enough? We're pushing, and I always know when we finish the film, you know, I always evaluate what can I do better.
I can't imagine what he could do better in that airplane sequence, just having wind blowing at him at 55 miles an hour. He passed out, not being able to breathe for a moment. That's crazy. Simon Pegg has been his co-star since Mission Impossible 3, said the stunts stress him out almost to the point of death. Look. You in real life, I remember seeing you on the set of Part 1, watching from the sidelines, Tom doing these stunts.
Yeah.
I think you truly share this relationship in real life.
I think we do. I look back at the whole thing, and it's a parallel journey. I came from, you know, my sort of lab technician personality was being a small-time filmmaker in the UK who got to, you know, came to Hollywood, and in the same way that Benji came to the IMF field, and Benji got to work with the biggest agent in the IMF, and I got to work with the biggest actor in Hollywood. And so our journeys have been kind of sort of parallel throughout the whole film until now, you know, 20 years later, I feel a lot more at home in this environment than I did when I sort of arrived. And my relationship with Tom has grown and deepened, and, you know, it's a similar kind of thing to Benji and Ethan.
Such a good guy. Hey, deep trivia, I just found out. He's Gwyneth Paltrow's daughter, Apple's godfather. There you go. Just tuck that away for trivia night. All right, back to the movie. Friday in theaters everywhere. See it on a big screen. IMAX theaters Thursday. Is it the final movie? I don't know, but it's epic. Back to you.
Right now it's the final. It'll be good to see Ving Rhames in there, too.
Yeah, Ving Rhames has a pivotal moment in this movie. A huge moment. To see it. I can't tell you.
All right, hopefully we'll see it on Take a Look. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much for watching this ABC 10 Plus recap. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Laura Painter. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 Plus. And now that you're here, why don't we take a look around and see what else is here? The very first tile on your left is always going to be streaming 24/7. You can find us adjacent to that, breaking news if it's there. And then right next to that, a replay of the most recent newscast. Whether it's ABC 10 Morning News at 5, 6, or beyond, it's going to be there. The forecast beyond that, and then right beyond that, the news that matters the most. Now that you know the basic tiles, let's go up to the top and take a deeper dive into news. We have every single newscast that you would need, including To the Point with Alex Bell, taking a deeper dive into the issues. Beyond that, ABC 10 Morning News at 5 and 6 and 11, the evening shows as well. Below that, you can watch the top stories from To the Point. Under that, Dollars and Cents, where you can learn how to navigate this challenging economy. And below that, you can watch our award-winning ABC 10 Special Investigations, where we hold the powerful accountable. Going into weather, look, it's the 10-day forecast, getting you ready for the weekend and beyond. Beyond that, sports. I know you care about the Sacramento Kings. We have the most comprehensive guide to anything, everything Kings in the locker room and on the court. We have it. Below that, I know you care about the San Francisco 49ers. Backing out again, come up to the top and join me on Verify. I'm super excited about this. Our experts are checking the facts, verifying the truth for you. Jump up now to shows. Very excited about this. Oh, look. It's Take a Look. This is my show. I love movies, and if you love movies or streaming shows, whether it's on screens this big, or this big, it's Take a Look. Recently went behind the scenes, sat down with Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix to talk about Joker 2. I love the movie, and oh, I just heard you shout you hate the movie. Jump in, we talk about it on this show. Other shows, Bartell's Backroads, go up and down the state of California, tank of gas getaways, one fuel cell getaway, like places like the Toy Museum. This is what kids did before they had screens. Over here, the Moaning Caverns of Calaveras County, one of the most coveted caves in all of California. You know, watching this show, I discovered there's a cave that could fit the entire Statue of Liberty in your own backyard. You'll find about that and more with Bartell's Backroads. Down below that, To the Point. It is one of my favorite newscasts because they talk about news with Alex Bell the way you talk about news. It's conversational, but in-depth at the same time. Below that, Your California Life. Love this show. Whether it's entertainment, food, beverage, lifestyle, it's there. Desiree Shepherd hosts and does an amazing job. So there you have it. It's ABC 10 Plus, the app. What do you need? We heard you and we got it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for streaming.